Have you ever wondered what really happens to your body and mind when you practice self-pleasure in your golden years? I know this topic can feel a bit passe to talk about, but trust me, after more than 20 years as a sexual health physician here in Singapore, I have heard every question you can imagine. And you know what? There is absolutely nothing to be embarrassed about. My name is Dr. Cheryl Lim, and today I want to have an honest conversation with you about something that affects so many of our uncles and senior men here in Singapore and around the world. This is not about judging anyone or making you feel bad about your choices. Quite the opposite, actually. I want to share with you what the medical research actually says, what my patients have taught me over the years, and most importantly, I want to respect your life experience because many of you have been around much longer than me and know your own bodies better than any textbook can describe. You see, in our Asian culture, especially here in Singapore, talking about sexuality among older folks is still considered quite taboo lah. People think once you hit 60 or 70, all those feelings should just disappear. But let me tell you something from my clinical experience that is simply not true. The desire for intimacy and physical pleasure does not come with an expiry date like your NTUC groceries. It changes, yes, it evolves, but it does not just vanish overnight. Now, before I go further, I want to acknowledge something very important. I have received many letters and messages from senior patients over the years, and one thing that strikes me is how different everyone's situation is. Some of you are happily married, but your spouse may have health conditions that make intimacy difficult. Some of you have lost your partners and are navigating this new chapter alone. Some of you are single by choice, and all of these situations are completely valid. There is no one-size-fits-all when it comes to sexuality in your later years. Let me share with you a story that really touched my heart. I had a patient, let us call him Mr. Tan, who came to see me when he was 82 years old. His wife had undergone a major surgery about 15 years ago, and since then, she had no desire for physical intimacy anymore. But Mr. Tan, he stayed faithful to her. He told me, Dr. Lim, I love my wife, I would never go outside, but I still have these feelings, these urges, so I take care of myself maybe once or twice a week. And you know what? He was perfectly healthy, his prostate was fine, his heart was strong, his mind was sharp. He asked me, am I doing something wrong? And I told him, Mr. Tan, you are doing nothing wrong at all. This is why I want to have this conversation today, because too many of our senior men are carrying unnecessary guilt and worry about something that is actually quite natural. So let us talk about what masturbation actually is and why it remains relevant throughout our lives. Simply put, it is self-stimulation for sexual pleasure. It is something that humans have been doing since the beginning of time, regardless of age, culture, or background. And contrary to what some people might tell you, it does not stop being a normal part of life just because you have more white hair on your head. As we age, our bodies go through many changes. I am sure you have noticed some of them already. Our hormone levels shift, with testosterone gradually declining in men. Our physical sensitivity changes. Our response time might be slower than when we were young and chasing girls at Orchard Road in our 20s. But here is what I want you to understand. These changes do not mean the end of your sexuality. They simply mean your sexuality is evolving, adapting to your new stage of life. For many older men, self-pleasure becomes a way to maintain that connection with your own body. It is a way to remind yourself that you are still a complete person with physical needs and desires. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. Now, let me put on my doctor hat and share with you what the medical research actually tells us about the benefits of masturbation for older men. And I want to be very clear here. I'm not just making this up or talking nonsense. These are findings from actual published studies. First, let us talk about prostate health. There was a significant study published in the Journal of the American Medical Association, the JAMA, which followed nearly 30,000 men over many years. The researchers found that men who ejaculated more frequently, whether through intercourse or masturbation, had a lower risk of prostate cancer. Now, I am not saying that masturbation prevents cancer. That would be irresponsible of me to claim. But the research does suggest that regular ejaculation may have some protective effects on prostate health. Second, there is the matter of blood circulation. When you engage in sexual activity of any kind, including self-pleasure, blood flow to your genital area increases. This is important for maintaining tissue health down there. You know the saying, use it or lose it? Well, there is some truth to that when it comes to sexual function. Regular activity helps keep the blood vessels and tissues in good working condition. Third, and this one is very relevant for our mental health, masturbation triggers the release of endorphins. These are the hormones that make you feel good, the same ones that get released when you exercise or eat your favorite chicken rice. Endorphins help reduce stress, improve mood, and can even help with pain management. For older folks dealing with the challenges of aging, this natural mood booster can be quite valuable. Fourth, there is the sleep benefit. Many of my patients tell me they sleep better after sexual release. This is not just in their imagination. The release of hormones like prolactin and oxytocin after orgasm promotes relaxation and can help you fall asleep more easily. And we all know how important good sleep is for overall health, especially as we get older. Fifth, from a psychological perspective, maintaining your sexuality can help preserve your sense of self and boost your confidence. Aging often comes with feelings of losing control over your body. Hair falls out, joints get stiff, things do not work as well as they used to. But sexual pleasure is one area where you can still feel in control, where you can still experience joy and satisfaction in your physical self. Now, I would be doing you a disservice if I only talked about the benefits and did not address some of the concerns. So let me be balanced here and discuss what happens when things go to the extreme. Like anything in life, too much of a good thing can become problematic. If masturbation becomes compulsive, meaning you feel like you cannot control the urge and it starts interfering with your daily life, then it might be worth examining. From a physical standpoint, excessive stimulation can sometimes lead to temporary desensitization. What this means is that if you do it too frequently or with too much intensity, you might find that you need more and more stimulation to achieve the same level of pleasure. This effect is usually temporary and things go back to normal once you give yourself a break, but it is something to be aware of. More importantly, I want to talk about the emotional aspect. In my years of practice, I have noticed that some older men use masturbation as a way to cope with difficult emotions. Loneliness is a big one, especially for those who have lost their spouses or whose children have moved overseas. Anxiety about health, finances, or the future is another. Feelings of sadness or depression can also drive people to seek comfort in physical pleasure. Now, using masturbation occasionally to feel better is not a problem. But if it becomes your only source of comfort, if it is replacing human connection and emotional support, then we might want to look at addressing those underlying feelings. I have seen cases where men withdraw more and more into themselves, using self-pleasure as a substitute for the intimacy and companionship they really need. This can lead to a cycle of increasing isolation, which is not good for anyone. Let me be very clear about something here. I am not saying masturbation causes loneliness or depression. What I am saying is that if you notice you are turning to it more and more because you feel empty or alone, it might be a signal that you need to address those feelings in other ways as well. Maybe reconnecting with old friends, joining a community center activity, or even speaking with a counselor. For those of you who are in relationships, I want to address something that can be a bit sensitive. If you find that masturbation is replacing intimacy with your partner, it might be worth having an honest conversation about what is happening. Sometimes couples drift apart physically as they age and each person ends up in their own world, but maintaining that connection with your spouse or partner is so valuable for your overall well-being. I had another patient, Mr. Lee, who was in his early 70s. He told me that he and his wife had not been intimate for years. Instead, he would take care of himself in the bathroom while she watched television in the living room. When I asked if he had talked to his wife about this, he looked surprised. He said, "Aya, Dr. Lim, at our age, she probably does not want to talk about such things, but I encouraged him to try." And you know what? When he finally brought it up, his wife actually felt relieved. She had been feeling guilty that she could not be intimate with him due to some health issues, and she was happy to know that they could find other ways to maintain their physical connection together. They did not have full intercourse, but they found ways to be intimate that worked for both of them. The point is, do not assume you know what your partner is thinking. Communication is key at any age. Now, I want to spend some time clearing up some common myths and misconceptions because I know there is a lot of rubbish information out there on the internet. Myth number 1, masturbation will make you go blind or cause hair loss. This is complete nonsense, okay? There is absolutely no scientific evidence linking masturbation to vision problems or baldness. This is an old wives' tale that probably started as a way to scare young people, and it has no basis in medical fact. Myth number 2, masturbation causes erectile dysfunction. Again, not true. In fact, the opposite might be closer to the truth. Regular sexual activity, including masturbation, helps maintain erectile function by keeping the blood vessels and tissues healthy. Now, if you are experiencing erectile difficulties, that is worth discussing with your doctor, but masturbation is not the cause. Myth number 3, masturbation leads to prostate cancer. We already discussed this earlier, but I want to emphasize it again because I know many men worry about this. The research actually suggests the opposite, that regular ejaculation may have a protective effect on the prostate. So please do not lose sleep over this myth. Myth number 4, you are too old for sexual feelings. This is perhaps the most damaging myth of all. Your sexuality does not have an expiration date. Many men remain sexually active well into their 80s and even 90s. Yes, things change, responses might be slower, erections might not be as firm as before, but the capacity for pleasure remains. Do not let society tell you that you should not have these feelings anymore. Myth number 5, masturbation will drain your energy and make you weak. Some people believe that ejaculation depletes some vital life force or essence. While it is true that you might feel a bit tired right after, this is temporary and normal. There is no evidence that regular masturbation leads to long-term fatigue or weakness. In fact, the stress-relieving benefits might actually give you more energy in your daily life. Let me also address something that comes up quite often with my patients from more traditional backgrounds. Many older Singaporean men grew up in environments where sexuality was not discussed openly or where it was associated with shame and sin. Some of you might carry feelings of guilt when you engage in self-pleasure, even if logically you know there is nothing wrong with it. I want to tell you that sexuality is a natural and healthy part of being human. It does not become shameful just because you have reached a certain age. If you find yourself struggling with feelings of guilt or internal conflict, please know that you are not alone. Many men your age feel the same way. And if these feelings are really bothering you, it might help to talk to someone, whether that is a counselor, a religious leader you trust, or even a doctor like me. And there is no need to carry this burden alone. Now, let me give you some practical advice based on my clinical experience. First, listen to your body. Your body will tell you what it needs. If you feel the desire for sexual release, that is your body communicating with you. There is no magic number for how often you should or should not masturbate. Some men are happy with once a month, others might want it several times a week, as long as it is not interfering with your daily life or causing physical discomfort. Trust your own rhythm. Second, pay attention to your physical health. If you notice any pain, discomfort, or unusual symptoms during or after masturbation, please see a doctor. These could be signs of underlying conditions that need attention. Similarly, if you notice changes in your sexual function, such as difficulty achieving or maintaining an erection, decreased sensation, or changes in ejaculation, these are worth discussing with a healthcare provider. Third, take care of your overall health. Your sexual health is connected to your overall health. Regular exercise, a balanced diet, good sleep, and managing conditions like diabetes, high blood pressure, and heart disease all contribute to better sexual function. Here in Singapore, we are fortunate to have excellent healthcare, so please do take advantage of it for your regular checkups. Fourth, stay connected with others. Do not let your sexuality become a substitute for human connection. Make an effort to maintain friendships, participate in community activities, and nurture your relationships with family. If you are feeling lonely, reach out. There are many resources available, including senior activity centers, community clubs, and befriending services. Fifth, if you are in a relationship, communicate with your partner. Do not assume you know what they want or do not want. Have honest conversations about your needs and find ways to maintain intimacy that work for both of you. Remember, intimacy is not just about intercourse. It can include touching, cuddling, massage, and many other forms of physical closeness. 6. Do not be afraid to seek help if you need it. If you are struggling with compulsive behavior, feelings of guilt, depression, or any other issues related to your sexuality, please reach out to a professional. There is no shame in asking for help. Sexual health is health, full stop. Before I wrap up, I want to share one more thought with you. Growing older is not easy. Our bodies change, our circumstances change, and sometimes it can feel like we are losing parts of ourselves, but your capacity for pleasure, for joy, for feeling good in your own skin, that does not have to disappear. Sexuality in later life might look different from what it was in your youth, but it can still be a source of comfort, satisfaction, and even happiness. I have had the privilege of working with thousands of patients over my 20 plus years in practice, and I can tell you that some of the happiest older men I know are those who have made peace with their sexuality. They do not carry guilt or shame. They understand their bodies and respect their needs. They maintain connections with others while also being comfortable in their own company. So to all of you watching, whether you are in your 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s or beyond, I want you to know that your sexuality is valid. Your desires are natural. And as long as you are not hurting yourself or anyone else, there is nothing wrong with finding pleasure in your own body. Thank you for spending this time with me today. I know these topics can be uncomfortable to discuss, but I believe that open, honest conversations are the first step to better health and well-being. If you found this helpful, I would be grateful if you could share it with others who might benefit. And if you have questions or topics you would like me to address in future videos, please do let me know. Remember, pleasure is ageless. The key is finding balance, listening to your body, and living your life without unnecessary guilt or shame. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you in the next video.